Around the new year, we often set some New Year's resolutions, but by the end of January, most have been forgotten or lost in the whirlwind of life. But setting goals is an unbelievably powerful way to create a better life and business, if you understand how goals work and how to set them effectively. Tune into today's podcast where we talk through how to create goals that will move the dial both in your business and, more importantly, in your life. Hey there, Tony Fraser-Jones, the host of the Profitable Tradie podcast, hanging out with my good buddy Phil Smith. How you doing, Phil?
G'day, mate. Feeling refreshed.
Yep. Happy New Year, buddy.
Happy New Year. It's been good. Nice little break.
You're refreshed. I think I need a little more, as this is the third take for me just to say my name.
Yeah.
Which is a concern.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. You'll get it right.
Yeah, well, normally
it's a hard
like,
name to say, right?
Yeah, it is difficult. Phil Smith's not hard to say, is it?
Well, it's easy to get the old Mike Tyson lisp going.
Yep.
Yeah, Phil Smith.
Tony Fraser-Jones.
Tony Fraser-Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you got it right this time.
I was cursed with a hyphenated name.
Oh, mate. It's a tough old life, isn't
It is a tough life.
Yeah, you should go back to your parents and complain.
Ah, they're all right. Actually, they're pretty good. Liz and Bruce. Good sorts.
Good sorts, them.
They are.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we talking about today, Chief?
We are talking about goal setting. So most trade and service business owners really do struggle to set goals. All the goals that they set are more of a wish than a goal, a feeling that you just want life to be better and different in some way. So may have been some New Year's resolutions set just recently, and we want to be able to dial this in really well. So I think people often find that it's hard to think about what they want in the future, but I can guarantee that you all know what you don't want in the future, and this can actually be a great starting point. Like, with most things, there's a right and a wrong way to set your goals, and a way that works and a way that frankly doesn't. And if you're getting this wrong, I think I just want to make the point that it's not your fault. Goal setting is definitely not something you get taught in trade school or during your apprenticeship, so it can be difficult, and we want to crack this nut.
Yeah, and it's like anything, it's a bit of a skill, so the first time you do it, it feels kind of awkward, and it is, like you said, important to look at it this time of year, over the vacation, Christmas vacation, holiday period, New Year's resolutions. Maybe you've imbibed a few beverages and, had a big conversation with your mates or your family about how things are going to be different. And New Year is a time when we often reflect on where we're at. So I think this is super important.
Yeah.
And there's a cool saying, which I love around goal setting, and it's this: in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing the daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it, which basically means without any goals, we just get sucked into the whirlwind and life just happens to us.
Yeah, that's right. And I think even if you haven't set any merry little resolutions in the last few weeks, definitely a great idea to kick your year off with some direction and just figure out, where do I want to be in 12 months' time, so that, we can basically make sure that we actually get there. Because if we don't set the direction, how do we actually end up where we want to be?
Well, that's right. And if you do listen to this podcast episode later during the year, it's the same process. You can start any time of the year. It's just New Year's is actually a pretty good time to do it, because that's time of reflection and kicking back and having a look at how things are going.
Not to mention, mentally, we tend to think in terms of calendar years. It's just
we do, and we typically have a bit more space, right? We maybe take a little bit of time off or have a bit of time just to chill out and think about things.
Yeah, that's right. So let's crack into it. I'm sure you got a story to kick us off.
I do have a story. This one always fascinates. I love aircraft. A bit of a plane spotter.
Yeah,
what a train spotter.
Plane spotter.
That's a movie, isn't it? Train spotting.
It is.
Interesting.
It was based on you, wasn't it? Thought you're the main character.
Come on, mate. Come on. Be sensible.
All
Didn't
right.
they take LSD and stuff? And
look, Tony, I don't know what you get up to in your spare time, mate. You just keep it above board, eh?
Well, I got 4 kids. Sometimes you need a bit of what is it? Alternative realities to survive. Anyway, I don't recommend taking performance enhancing drugs just to get through your child minding duties.
Your LSD is laxative, stress, and distraction, isn't it?
That's good, bro.
Anyway, let's get into it.
Yeah. So aircraft. So if they're flying from point A to point B, actually recently we flew to New York from Auckland. It's a long way, 18 hours. And that aircraft is basically never on course.
Yeah.
As you're flying from Auckland to New York or New York back to Auckland, the aircraft most of the time is actually off course, just a little bit off course.
Yep.
But there's a constant course correction.
That's right.
Because the aircraft knows what the goal is or the destination.
Yep.
And so the GPS, whatever they use, the flight management system will always take that aircraft back onto course. The wind will blow it off course or whatever. And it's always just course correcting the whole way, so it actually gets to the goal. And goal setting is kind of like that. We have a goal at the end. It allows us to put our heads up and look at where we're going. and continually course correct with the actions we're taking so we get to where we want to get to.
Yeah, that's right.
That's really the principle of goal setting.
Yeah, well, I mean, imagine if that same plane had set out on a journey without the destination of New York. You could have ended up anywhere. You could have ended up in Christchurch of all places. Blah.
Yeah, that would have been bad. You just fly around and...
Yeah,
well,
exactly. Well, you wouldn't know where you're going. You
desperately look for a runway.
You could waste a lot of time in fuel, which in this case, if you're a person, is energy and headspace. So, we don't want to do that. We just want to get to our destination that we want. So, I know this has actually been an interesting one with some goals you've set in the past. I love digging up your old vision book that time and seeing the pictures of your house. It's uncanny, the similarity, right?
Yeah, this really buzzes me out. So if you have set some goals in the past, maybe go back and look at them and see what you've actually achieved. Is kind of fun thing to do. So I set some goals about, I think it's 2015, around building a new family home. And I created a vision book, some pictures of how I thought the house would look, and I had some really clear specifics around how the house would be. And so the house, I wanted 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 3 large living areas. I wanted a guest room, a craft room for Bronwyn. I wanted a 12-metre swimming pool, some landscaped grounds, and we wanted to move in by December 2017. Well, weird, in December 2022, we'd been in the house 5 years.
Yeah.
Which meant we moved in on December 2017, and the house we have looks amazingly like the pictures that I put in the vision book. And
That's
now we
nuts.
didn't actually use those pictures when we went through the design process, but it buzzes me out.
Yeah.
And I think you've noticed it as well.
It was funny. We pulled it out and we're looking through it, and I'm like, "Are these pictures of your house?" And you're like, "Nah." And I was like, "Did you use them in the design process?" And you're like, "Nah." And I'm like, It looks exactly like your house. It's crazy, right?
Yep. And we moved into the date, like the month. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I guess the whole unconscious mind was working with that, but that's how goal setting works.
Yeah.
It was super powerful. So I'm really excited about sharing this one today. I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. Well, should we talk about what happens when we don't set goals very well?
We 100% should do that.
All right.
I think the first thing is you're directionless.
Yeah.
So you're like an aircraft that's flying nowhere.
Yeah.
Or anywhere.
Yep.
And so there's no real focus or purpose about what you're necessarily doing. And as a result, life can feel like Groundhog Day. So if you remember that movie with Bill Murray where, just the same day recycled over and over again.
Yep.
Well, without goals, you tend to get enslaved by the daily trivia of life and you just recycle the same results. So the week looks the same, the month looks the same, the year looks the same, and all of a sudden you're old.
Yeah. Well,
and bald.
Not bad to be old.
Nothing wrong with being old.
Being old and bald is a little bit less favourable, but hey, some people make it work.
Just got to say there, Phil is not. If you're bald, he's not hating on you. He's just hating on me.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of tongue in cheek at old Tony. It's a good time.
Because Phil's not actually tall enough to see the bald patches on my head, but
I'm also not tall enough to see the bald patches on my head, man. So it's a beneficial situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think here's the thing. If you are directionless and you just kind of recycle the same results, you end up being exhausted and frustrated.
Massively.
And it leads to an average life. You don't want to get to the end of your life. The worst kind of hell would be getting to the end of your life and seeing the person you could have been if you actually had some better goals and took some more action.
Yeah. Yeah.
That to me is the definition of hell, like that's not awesome. So that's what can happen if you don't really set goals and you just go through the motions with life.
Yeah. But on the other hand, if we do this right, then some pretty special stuff can happen.
Focus.
Yep.
So you know what you're about. You create new results and better results because you're always, pushing forward. Yep. You can have way more fun and excitement in life. Setting good goals is not just about making money. In fact, that's not the most important part. It's setting goals about how you have a great life and maybe the activities and the fun things you do and the relationships that you nurture.
Yep.
And I reckon you can build your best self.
Yeah.
And I reckon there's a part deep in all of us that wants to grow and expand, not in a way that's about striving, that will only be happy when we achieve something, but there's just a part of us that enjoys that process of growth, and goal setting is this incredibly powerful way to actually kick that process off.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's so important. And nobody wakes up, looks in the mirror in the morning and goes, man, I can't wait to be just thoroughly average and never ever get better in my entire life, and this is as good as it gets, and I could die any minute and I've already achieved everything.
They don't.
Nobody thinks that.
No.
So again, the way that we're going to be able to do better is to plan out what we actually want and what that actually looks like,
Yeah.
so we can go after it, right?
Yeah, and I want to say something right from the get-go, and this is something that's really important to me, is life is not about striving to achieve stuff and thinking, I'll be happy when I achieve that. Sort of that if-then thinking is not great, because you're always, if you, I'll be, things will be good when I achieve this amount of profit, or I get this house or this boat or whatever. That's not what it's about. You enjoy what you're doing right here and now. Be present with what you're doing and enjoy it. But enjoy the process of growing and expanding yourself, and the challenge of, you go to the gym and you get resistance to build muscle. It's the same with goals. They create some resistance that help you become a better person.
Yeah.
In fact, the cool thing about goal setting is the person you have to become to achieve them. I think Jim Rohn said that.
Yeah.
And so it forces you to grow as a person, which is awesome.
Yeah. Massive. Such an important part of life. So
It is.
let's talk about how to do this.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the process?
Firstly, I just want to make the point, this is not just the kind of thing that you just do once, is it? Like, you're going to do this constantly. I know for us personally, we set new goals, on a daily basis, a monthly basis, weekly basis. We do quarterly, we do yearly, we do all different types of goal cadences, and then we redo them and redo them and redo them. So it's a really important thing. I think the mistake that a lot of people make is that they try to set and forget. They never actually reset or throw that bar up further. So I think
that's crucial. Like, it's not a one-time thing, and it's also not about just setting the goal and then doing nothing with it. Once you've set the goal, you actually have to do something with it.
That's
you have to review it, look at it, and we'll talk about that process, because that's really what makes goals work.
Yeah, well, when I'm going through that process, firstly, you're going to need a vision.
Yep.
So I need to know long-term where I'm going. It's kind of like that horizon line.
Yep.
And the cool thing is the horizon's always the same distance away, so that's definitely something you want to be redoing. And again, not about striving. It's just about making sure I have an overall direction, so I don't get stagnant. From there, what I'm able to do is set a thing called SMART goals, which we'll dig into a little bit deeper today. Super important that you follow this process when setting goals, or otherwise you can just get a bit airy-fairy. They don't really make much sense, and it's hard to achieve. And from there, once we know those SMART goals, we set budgets and targets. Now, the reason we do this is so we can keep ourselves accountable to know if we're on track. Like, if I can't measure those goals and then set some targets around them, then how do I know if I'm making any progress? And so I can lose interest if I don't do that. From there, I can set some shorter-term plans. So I'm basically working my goals back into some short-term plans, actions I can take to achieve those goals. And then I can set myself some KPIs, which are, again, just some measures of whether or not I'm actioning those plans.
Whether I'm on track or not.
That's right. And so that way I know if I'm actioning the plans get actioned, I hit the budgets and targets, the SMART goals are achieved, and I'm on track to continue to make progress on my vision.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
That's the process.
So we use this process, and we have a process called How to Create Your Ideal Life. That's what we use with our members in our $1 Million Tradie Program. It's a very simple process. And for most people, the process of goal setting is where they fall down. It's like, well, how do I do this? What do I actually do? So having a process and a structure to follow is actually super helpful.
It's huge.
So that's important. And we call it Create Your Ideal Life rather than the ideal life, because everyone's life is different. We want you to create your goals to be about you and what's important to you. And so they fit with your values as a person, because your values may be really different to mine.
Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yeah, it's huge.
Stephen Covey said, you can climb the ladder of success, but find that it's leaning against the wrong wall.
Yeah.
And that's massively important. So make sure that the goals, you're creating your ideal life, what's important to you, not copying it from someone else.
That's right. It's
But
so
otherwise,
important.
Yeah, it may not be that good for you.
Yeah, that's right. Or you build it and you end up feeling empty.
100%.
And then it becomes compounding, because then you start to feel like, man, why am I so ungrateful for all of this awesome stuff I've created?
Yeah.
I need to do better. Actually, it's like you just shouldn't have created
Probably
that in the
another
first
whole
place.
podcast.
But hey, look, we'll leave that one alone for today. So hey, let's get into it.
Yeah,
So
some real key principles, I think, to talk about with goal setting. And the first one is, it's about the destination first. So when you create a powerful and compelling vision for what you want, that's really the first step of achieving it. And you can't hit a target that you don't have. So like the aircraft, you got to have a destination so you know whether you're on track or not, and you can course correct.
Yeah.
If you don't, well, any road will end up taking you there or anywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
That's super important.
Yep.
And what I think is important here is that it's really easy to set business goals, around financials and profit and that kind of thing, or team numbers, or clients, etc. But it's really easy to leave out the important stuff of like health, relationships, fun, hobbies, travel, etc. So we want, when you're doing your process of goal setting, creating your ideal life, We want a great life, not just a great business.
Yeah, well, it's called create your ideal life, not create your ideal business.
Yeah, because
that's very intentional.
This is important because when you're goal setting, you got to remember that, the business should be the servant.
Yeah.
Not the master. And I know for a lot of people listening, it feels like you're the slave to your business. Well, goal setting is one of the tools you can use to switch that around. To realize, well, why are you actually doing this? Because what's the purpose of life? Is to have a great life, not just to have a great business. It's a vehicle.
Yeah, it's a vehicle.
Yeah.
That's it. So we got to make sure that we treat it that way. And I think like with this one, destination first, I love Stephen Covey's line about begin with the end in mind. It's one of the 7 habits of highly effective people because everything is created twice, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's huge. So everything is created twice, and I think this is something that's incredibly powerful when you're goal setting. So if you think about, you think about building a house. What's the first thing you do? Well, you have the idea in your mind. You have a vision for how you want the house to look. And maybe then you look at some magazines, get some design ideas, talk to a designer, an architect or whatever, and you spitball some concepts and you visualize how it looks in your mind.
And for those of us that are under 80, a magazine's a real old school thing, so you might use things like Pinterest or Instagram or, but hey, look, that's cool, like same process, right?
That's like a sly backhand in my face there, team, if you're listening. Funnily enough, Brom, my wife, is always on Pinterest, so I don't know how I missed that.
Yeah, there you go. Well, the point is actually that same house is actually kind of created 3 times, right? Because it's created in your mind first with the idea of what you want. Then it's drawn into a plan. So it's created a second time. And then it's built in real life. So it's actually created a 3rd time.
Yeah, well, you could. Yeah, that's true. So in your mind, you have the idea, you visualize it, then you put it on paper with plans and concrete, timelines and stuff. That's like our goal setting process that we're going to talk about today. And then the third thing is you've actually got to go make it happen in the world.
Yeah.
This is the really, really important point.
Yeah.
You can proactively create your future, which is what goal setting is about, or it can be done reactively.
Yeah.
Now, it's sort of by choice or by accident.
Yeah.
So if you don't do any goal setting, you're already thinking stuff in your head that's creating the, what you're going to, which is basically an image of what you're going to create. So you might be thinking stuff like, the economy's too hard and it's hard to find tradespeople and technicians and, people don't pay their bills and everyone's, competing on price.
Yep.
And that's the vision you're creating for your life.
Yep.
And then when you start to action it, you'll take action out of that.
That's right.
And you'll basically create that very situation in your life because you'll be haphazard with what you do. You'll be weak when you go and talk with people. You position yourself poorly.
Yep.
And basically you'll feel like life's being done to you.
Well, you'll find exactly what you're looking for.
100%.
Which is the big thing.
And we call that stinking thinking.
Yeah.
We bring our own perceptions and experience and conditioning into the world. And if we just let our thinking happen without proactively doing it, that's what we end up creating.
And without digging into it too deeply today, anyone out there skeptical thinking, this is a sort of airy-fairy stuff, like blah, blah. This has been scientifically studied and proven again and again and again. If you want to read studies on it, they're all out there. This is a real thing.
This is massive.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is what goal setting about is taking control of your mind and, being conscious and proactive about the first creation in your head.
That's it.
And so we actually map out how we want our life to look in our head, and then we can put it on paper, and then we can build it in real life. So we want to be a creator rather than just a taker of what what's going to happen to us.
Well, I want to touch on that real quick, Tony. You said put it on paper. Now, I think this is really important because if we don't write it down, it's kind of not real.
It's not real.
And I think the big thing is when you put it down on paper, it really goes from the invisible world up in your head to the visible world. It's tangible here in front of everyone else. And now we have the beauty where we can actually be held accountable to this, both by other people. Like I would share my goals with other people, firstly. It's kind of like going to the gym. If I think to myself, I'm going to go to the gym this week and start working on my fitness, I might go. But if I don't, I let myself down in private. If I tell everybody, hey, I'm going to the gym this week and I'm going to have lost 3 kilos by the end of the month, if I tell everybody I know, then I kind of have to do it, right? Same thing. If I think to myself, well, I might, some people who smoke, they might say, oh, well, I want to quit smoking. It's like, that's cool. If you tell everyone I'm quitting smoking today, then if they see you with a cigarette, they're going to take it off you, all right? So it's that whole thing. If I make it on paper, it's real. I'm accountable to it myself. I'm going to see it more often and have to hold myself accountable, but I share it with other people, and now they're going to hold me to it.
Huge. So it's about, accountability, leverage on yourself through other people and your own attitudes. And you think about if you build a house, you've had this great vision of a house in your head and you've got this beautiful vision and you can see it all, and then you just tell the builder that.
Yeah.
well, that's chaos.
That's right, because he might not be seeing what you're seeing.
You're not seeing what you're seeing, so
That's
there's no
right.
accountability. There's no way to stay on track or actually build it. And it's the same with your goals.
Yeah.
So that's huge. Definitely got to write it down. That makes it real.
Yeah, that's right. Why don't we talk about thinking bigger? Because I think while we're on
This is
goal
huge.
setting topic,
Yeah.
this is
So
big.
I reckon if you're listening to this, and this is probably my thing I love most about what we do at Profitable Tradie and in our coaching programs is we get a lot of people coming to us who they basically just want to get out of pain. They've got some challenges or frustrations, cash flow, team, overwork, frustration, and we do that. But the thing that's incredible is we actually help people see a bigger future than they realize is possible for themselves.
Yep.
And so they come into our coaching programs and they see people, who are doing $1 million months in revenue and people who are making 7-figure profits or more. And they're like, I didn't even realize that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that landed on planet Earth.
Yeah, that's right.
I've been struggling to crack $100,000 a month in revenue for like 10 years. And there's people making more profit a month than I do revenue.
That's right.
And so I challenge you when you're doing your goal setting to think bigger.
Yep.
10x that stuff, like your old mate Grant
Bloody
Cardone.
Grant Cardone.
10x that baby.
Yeah, but like as much as I don't always rate what he says, I think the thing is he's 100% right because old Grant Cardone, because I guarantee you everybody who's getting the really big results in life is because they think bigger. People that think small, they get small. It's simple as that. People that think big, they get big. The only people that get big are the ones that thought it first.
Yeah, you can't outthink, you can't outgrow or outperform your thinking.
No, you can't.
And your goal setting is a huge part of that.
Yeah.
So think bigger.
That's it.
And if it scares you a little bit, good. It should.
If it
What's the
doesn't-
point of
if it
setting a
doesn't
goal that
scare
you can
it's-
easily do? What's the point in that? You're already capable of doing that.
That's right.
Set a goal that's going to require you to become better as a person.
If your goals don't make you a little bit uncomfortable, they're probably not goals. They're inevitabilities that you're writing down so you can tick a box. And that's not the point of this exercise.
They should make the sphincter tighten a little bit.
Let's not
just
talk
like,
about
"Ooh."
sphincters, dude.
It's a little bit frightening, right? I
right.
apologize for going there, but
No,
you
you're
get the
right,
idea.
man, you're right.
So think bigger. If you're thinking, oh well, I want to make $350,000 net profit yet.
Yep.
Maybe push that out to 500,000.
Yeah,
Because here's the thing, you grossly overestimate what you can do in a year,
totally.
but you massively underestimate the progress you can make in 3 to 5 years.
That's right.
And that starts with thinking bigger. So I challenge you, think bigger about what you're wanting to achieve.
And the other part of this is then focus on progress and not perfection, because when you
Oh,
think
yes.
really big, then the hard thing is that you're only going to make progress in the short term. You're not going to achieve all of that in the short term because it's a big thought. If you can achieve your big thoughts in the short term, then they're probably not actually big. So that really means you have to shift from a focus of perfection and completion into a focus of progress, where it's looking at how far I've come, not necessarily always how far I have to go. So you got to be
That's
looking
massive.
both
And we
ways.
see people, do get disappointed or disillusioned when they don't hit the goals they've got. But actually, they've got 3/4 of the way to the goal, which is an amazing result, right?
That's right.
incredible. And that's 3/4 more than they would have ever done if they didn't have the goal.
That's
so
right.
the aim of the goal is to help you grow and make progress.
Yep.
The goal for the sake of itself is like, well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's important, but
direction.
it's a direction thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's massive. It's a great point because that takes a lot of the stress and angst away from it. It's about
And
progress.
Again, stress is really the importance of being able to measure this stuff, because if you can't measure it, then I can't really put my finger on how far I've come, which actually screws me up, because then how can I say I'm 30% towards my goal if I don't actually know how to measure the percentage of completion, right? So you need to be able to measure it. It's super important, which brings us to SMART goals, which is something I want to dig into.
So I guess most people listening, if you're tuning in, you've probably heard of this idea of SMART goals, but it is actually super juicy, and I think we should pull this apart. So SMART means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely.
Yeah.
And achievable, that's like there must be some stretch in it. It can't be completely ridiculous that it's never achievable. Like
Yeah.
I'm probably never going to win the Olympic 100 meters.
Well, not with that thinking.
Okay. Well, I could have some surgery.
Yeah.
And take
Well, look.
but you know what I mean.
I think I totally get what you mean, but I also want to stress the point that it's like the reason you can't is because you haven't done all of the things that someone who would win that race has done. And you can say, oh, my body's not the same type. I'm like, yeah, but if they had lived your life, their body wouldn't be the same type either. So I think there's definitely some genetics. Don't get me wrong, I'm not crazy. But I think it is important to understand that setting that bigger thinking is going to change the way you act. The way you act is going to change what you have, and then that's going to change, what you come to the party with. So
that's very true. And one of the things I love about hanging out with you, mate, is I just get these little coaching moments. I've just been coached. You weren't picking that up, team. I got coached for stinking thinking.
All right, well, let's talk about these SMART goals.
So I think that the most important thing with SMART goals is to talk about some examples of what it actually means. So, measurable and specific means it has to have a number and a time.
Yeah, that's right.
So rather than saying I want to make more profit, my goal, I want more profit. Like, great. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
Wrap some specifics around it. So a SMART goal might be, I want to make $500,000 net profit by June 30, 2024.
Yeah, much better. Like now I know whether or not I'm making headway. I know what I'm aiming at. I know by when. I can keep track of this.
Yeah.
Way better. Maybe I'm building a new house.
Yeah, building a house. So the example we talked about before is I want to build a 5-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms, 3 living areas, design a kitchen, with a home entertainment system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you map out exactly how it looks by December 2025.
That's right.
That's a SMART goal.
I think I just want to touch on some other types, because I think in this case, like, it's really easy to set goals, for things like numbers and times, profit results, or, building houses. A little bit harder when you get to those softer goals, the things that are, a little bit less tangible. So what about stuff like relationships, well-being, health, things that I can't measure in time, distance, or money?
This is huge. This is huge, and this is the real juice of life, right? Is the things that are softer, your relationships with your spouse or your significant other or your children or your family, etc. So some health things, they can perhaps be put into time. So you might say, for a health goal, I want to run the 10K local run, and I want to do it in under 50 minutes.
Yeah,
that might be something.
Perfect.
Or it might be a weight goal. Yep. But for that softer relationship stuff, we need to turn it into activities.
Yep.
So, for instance, if you want, your vision is I want better mental health. Well, some goals might be, I will meditate 5 times a week for 20 minutes in the morning before going to work.
Yeah, perfect. Again, much more measurable, much more specific, and I know whether or not I'm achieving it.
Perfect.
So
let's say you want a better relationship with your spouse or your significant other.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you're at in your life, but it might be we will have a date night once every 2 weeks without the children.
Yeah.
That's an activity. Have we done it, yes or no?
Well, that's the thing, is I can tell you if we did it or not.
Yeah.
And I can tell myself. I can be honest with myself. I can hold myself accountable. So it's something that I can actually do, and that's really the key.
I want to be more energized and excited as a leader. So a goal might be, okay, I will attend 2 leadership development courses per year, one by June and one by December. It might be I'm going to have 3 one-day holidays per year to recharge and refresh, and I'm going to have these holidays this place, that place, and the other place. That's a specific and measurable goal that you can give a tick, a yes or a no to. That's how you turn the soft stuff into actual SMART goals, which you can hold yourself accountable to.
Yeah. Totally. So we nailed these 5 points. I think it's really important just to recap. You want your destination first. You got to think proactively, create it first in your mind. Yep. Think bigger, real important, so we can push that boat out. We got progress, not perfection, and we make them into SMART goals. If we do that, we're following a good process. Right?
100%. And the process is pretty simple. It's like you idealize the result you want. That's your vision. You visualize it. You idealize the result you want. You create the vision and put the SMART goals together. You visualize it. So I really suggest people create a vision book.
Yep.
So take your goals and put pictures against them. And the subconscious mind works in pictures and emotions.
Yeah.
And so, for example, if you have a relationship goal, I'm going to take a date night once a fortnight, then take a picture of, if it's you and your spouse doing something cool, put it on there. Or maybe it's another couple at a restaurant or doing something cool together, and have that in the vision book. And that just really stimulates the subconscious mind. It really bakes it in.
Just be careful about how you get the photos. Like when I put photos of you and Bronwyn on my wall having date nights, it was a bit creepy. I'm sorry, man.
Bro, look, if there's any way I can help you, I'll do it.
Thanks, man.
I've got
your
back.
that you care about my success. Cheers.
I do. It's the moustache that's doing it for me.
Oh, man, I might keep it another couple of months.
There you go.
Right.
So if you can visualize it and then you look at it, you can see it. That's cool. And then we want to verbalize.
Yep.
And so that's really about creating some affirmations about how you need to show up as a person to actually achieve those goals. And I love affirmations. They're killer. And so that might be some statements like, hey, I choose to be bold. I choose to banish fear. I choose to be abundant. I love money and money loves me. I acknowledge my negative thoughts and will not let them control me. I recognize the opportunities in front of me. I'm a kind, patient, and loving father or mother or whatever it is. And so you might have 10, 15, 20 of these statements that you just read every morning to really get you in the zone to actually be the person that you need to be to hit the goals that you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, well, I've always loved that thing, is it's who you need to become to actually achieve your goals. It's such an important thing.
And then once you've done that, you materialize it. And this is the key point. You review it daily.
Yeah.
This is where a lot of people fall down. They maybe do a great job with their goals, but then they put them in the drawer and they don't look at them.
Yeah. Well, reviewing goals is kind of like bathing, right? Best done daily.
It is right. Yeah, like motivation.
Like motivation.
I love that.
All right.
So every day, look at your vision book, go through the goals, and it's amazing. If you do that and you haven't booked the date night, you'll be like, flipping heck, actually I've got to book that date night. It just jogs your memory and you do it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And review them daily. Put them in a prominent place. Maybe next to the vision book is passed it up in your wardrobe or in your office or somewhere where you see it regularly.
Yeah.
Or just have it as a book that you have a process in the morning where you go through and look at it.
Yeah.
Go through your affirmations and then you make this stuff happen.
That's right. Perfect. All right. Well, I think in this case, obviously keeping focused with our big picture. We're not getting trapped in our whirlwind because we have our goals set out. And if we can set those goals and review them daily, we can change our business and our life, which is what this whole thing
Create your ideal
about.
life.
We create that ideal life. And have a great 2023. So
That's right.
shall we land this plane?
Let's do it. So setting great goals and reviewing them daily will change your life and, more importantly, your business. So start creating the life you want today. Thanks heaps for listening, and we'll catch you all again next time.
See you later.
Hey, I hope you liked the video. Check out all the other videos in the channel and like and subscribe.